On today's show, an up-close look at a Hall of Fame. Not for football or baseball, a Hall of Fame for fishing. Located in Wisconsin's Tourism Center, Hayward.
This is what they call going into the belly of the beast.
The belly of the beast, exactly right.
And later, the experts at HCMC offer advice for campfire safety this summer, especially when kids are around.
Yeah, this is for the showroom. And
Our Minnesota-bound classic this week takes us to Rick Simonson's Taxidermy Shop, where critters are turned into lifetime memories. It's an art. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show. I'm sure you've heard of the Football Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame. There's also a Hockey Hall of Fame in Minnesota. But have you ever heard of the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame in Hayward, Wisconsin? Well, there's some folks in the hall that you will know. Bill Shirk has the story.
Oh, there he is.
Fishing elicits emotions times 10.
I'll net them, huh?
Yeah, we're gonna need a net for this one. Yeah, what do you want?
That feeling, there's nothing like it.
Glorious! Finally, you're smiling. That's the first time today.
And you caught the fish.
Yep. Good golly. That big enough?
That's big enough. That's 19.
19, I bet. Wow, that's a nice fish.
Those same feelings, people get them when they walk through the doors of this place.
So this is the spot.
Yep, this is it, Bill.
The Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, a magical attraction in Hayward, Wisconsin, full of the what is what and who is who in the world of fishing.
And I suppose a lot of this stuff comes to you out of Grandpa's collection.
Well, yeah, I mean, the tagline we use here at the Fishing Hall of Fame is like taking a peek in the granddad's old tackle box.
My old fishing buddy Emmett Brown runs the hall.
Slow down, I have a lot to look at.
Oh, okay.
Our walk starts with a look at all the people in the Hall of Fame. They all influenced the fishing world, and many influenced me.
Ron has, by far, that's one of the goofiest fishing hats.
Oh, I think he'd tell you the same thing.
But it fits, right?
Mm-hmm. This guy, Gadabout Gaddis, was kind of like the first television fishing guy.
Yeah, really. He was. He was on a national level, no doubt about it.
So that was his TV show. He'd fly around in his plane and go fishing places. That's what's so fun, is all the old stuff you recognize.
Another pretty famous face you might not expect to see in here. That's Ted Williams. You know, the famous Boston Red Sox left fielder.
Yeah, but he certainly was, you know, a world-class fisherman.
Heck, even Sears made a boat motor with his name on it.
How many baits do you think you have in this place?
You know, 30,000.
And some of those lures are almost too goofy to be true, but somebody used them. There are lures made out of dice. There's a bait made out of dentures. Some guy kills a gopher in the yard and decides he wants to make a pike bait with it.
There's a spoon for you.
Well, yeah, that is a spoon.
There's a spoon.
Thing is, I recognize some of this old stuff. It's very cool and very scary at the same time. Over in the motor graveyard, an old friend.
Growing up, every day, I had to take this motor off the boat, unchain it, hike it up the hill to the cabin. I couldn't stand the motor, I couldn't stand the hill.
This is a early 30s ropeller. They only made it for 3, 4, 5 years. And strictly mechanical. It's green technology long before it was vogue, believe me.
Damn it, faster, we're gonna be late for dinner. That's the novelty of coming to a place like this. You're always gonna see something that reminds you of what was. That's my green box.
Is it?
Yep, in Lawrence. It was the first fish locator I had as a kid. In fact, my grandpa, when he gave it to me, he kind of gave it to me as a loan. It was on loan.
We get that all day long. Lots of oohs and ahs and a lot of, you know, my grandfather had this. My father had this. I remember this as a kid.
This might be my favorite thing. This motor sat on the bottom of a lake for 35 years. This guy's family dropped it off the boat. They had it running for about 5 hours, lost it. 35 years later, look at that thing. The diver found it, now it's in the museum.
Full of old stories. Outside, another story looms. It's a fishtail larger than life, and it's next as our Hall of Fame tour continues.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers. Renewal by Anderson, Connecticut, and by Rapala.
Time now to continue our tour of the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. Lots of fishing stories told there.
Traveling through Hayward, Wisconsin, it's kind of tough to miss the town's biggest attraction.
We have North America's Shrine to the Angler right here.
The Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame.
What kind of bait do you use for that?
Very large ones. It's 4.5 stories tall, 45 feet, and a half a city block long.
This old muskie is kind of the icon of the Hall of Fame.
This is the largest fish structure in the world.
This is what they call going into the belly of the beast.
The belly of the beast, exactly right.
And it came to life back in 1978, built 3 hours south in the town of Sparta.
It was trucked up here in 4 different pieces in the summer of 1978, dedicated a little later that summer.
But the muskie wasn't really the start of the hall. It really got its start about 8 years earlier with a most unlikely donor.
This is how we got our start. Built on the backs of Jim Beam Kentucky whiskey.
Yep, whiskey built the museum.
The first bottle in 1971 was $10. I think when the program was over with in 81 or 82, they were selling for about $35. So you got a fifth of Jim Beam whiskey. Plus you got a fish decanter, something you could, you know, look good on any mantel shelf or bar or whatever the case may be. Plus you help the hall, the Fishing Hall of Fame. This was 71, and that actually is what built that first building.
That bottle.
I mean, the sales from that bottle,
yeah.
Right.
Even around town, old liquor bottles helped raise money.
Oh, it says we're $50,000 short to build the big fish. So we need your change, is what it was.
And as you can guess, the bottles filled up, and the hall eventually opened.
The whole museum, more than $300,000 raised through liquor sales and these bottle sales to help build the museum. That's kind of cool.
These days, the Big Fish houses the first 5,000 members of the hall.
One of our mission statements, of course, is to preserve and display freshwater fishing's heritage and history, but it's sentimentally based, no doubt about it.
Which is why back inside, the hall also pays tribute to the fish we catch. Some fishtails seem larger than life.
Every one of these pictures represents a different world record.
We recognize about 125 different freshwater species. That's a very important part of what we do. We have over 3,000 records in our book.
Look at this. Record. Record, record. Strange hat. Even stranger pose with the fish. Catfish, foreign species, muskies, pike, bass.
So next time you swing through Wisconsin, make sure you track down that big fish. You'll know when you've arrived. Just plan on a little extra time to look around. This ain't a 2-hour tour.
We will fill your day, I promise you.
Up next, summer campfires aren't far away, so the experts at HCMC will share a few tips on how to be safe and enjoy a campfire.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Yard, premier manufacturers of maintenance-free outdoor patio furniture and accessories from recycled plastic.
You know, it won't be long, the snow will be gone, and the camping season will be here. With that thought in mind, maybe some tips about campfire safety would be a good idea. The experts from Hennepin County Medical Center have the advice. Today's topic is campfire safety, and joining me is Dr. Fay from the Burn Center at HCMC. Doc, it seems like an obvious thing about campfire safety, don't play with fire, but what do you see?
Well, we see a few common injuries, especially in the summer months when we get most of these. Probably one of the biggest culprits is people who put gasoline on a fire or any other accelerant. These fuels vaporize very easily, and so oftentimes they'll have an explosion.
Okay, what other things do you see with campfires? Children, for example?
Mm-hmm. Usually parents are pretty vigilant about keeping their kids away from the burning, the actual fire itself. What happens a lot with children is the next day or even 2 or 3 days down the road after the fire's out and it's just ashes in the bottom of the pit, a child will stumble into it, walk through it or fall into it, not realizing that those coals stay hot for several days.
Okay, so you accidentally pick up a hot coal, and you got a little some blisters there. What's the procedure?
The first thing you should do with any burn injury, especially easy with the minor burn injuries, is just to cool the burn. And that doesn't mean ice. Unfortunately, ice can actually worsen the injury by inflicting a bit of a frostbite, if you will, on top of the burn injury. So what we recommend is just run the injury under cool water, just plain old tap water, to get it cooled down. And if it's just small little blisters and that sort of stuff, just local wound care with plain clean dressings will be usually sufficient.
All right, what would you look for if you thought maybe your burn needs more assistance?
Right. If it's more than just a few small blisters, then I would definitely seek the attention of a physician. Certainly major burn injuries covering a significant portion of the body, you need to call 911.
Dr. Fay, thanks for great advice. Don't play with fire.
Hi, I'm Rob Jerusalem, Managing Editor of the Outdoor News Publications. The DNR wants your opinion on a number of issues affecting hunting and wildlife management in Minnesota. The agency recently held a half-dozen public meetings around the state, but you still have time to comment online. Most of the topics this year involve game birds. It starts with 2 waterfowl proposals. One would allow limited open water hunting for ducks and geese on some of the state's biggest lakes. There's also discussion about whether to allow early Canada goose hunting in August to help prevent agricultural damage the birds are allegedly causing in west central Minnesota. Currently, the earliest Minnesotans can hunt Canada geese is September 1st. One other migratory bird proposal would start the state's crow hunting season in November instead of July. 2 final topics: opening the prairie chicken season earlier in October and allowing youth aged 17 and younger to hunt during all spring turkey seasons. Kids could still only shoot 1 turkey, but the thinking is that giving them a longer season would offer today's busy youth more opportunities to get a field. Now, citizens who couldn't attend a meeting can comment online at mndnr.gov/wildlife/input. A questionnaire will be posted until April 15th. For complete reports on how these issues unfold in 2013, read the print edition of Outdoor News or view us online at outdoornews.com. I'm Rob Jerusalem.
There's a lot of feathers in here.
Still ahead, our Minnesota Bound Classic highlights one of the oldest skills in the world of hunting and fishing, the art of taxidermy with Rick Simonson.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Hennepin County Medical Center. Minnesota Agricultural Water Resources Coalition, Minnesota soybean farmers and their checkoff,
Hey, welcome back. Just admiring one of my hunting trophies, a beautiful Drake wood duck that I had mounted years ago to preserve its beauty and the memory. Which brings up our next story about a taxidermist in Minneapolis who is an artist as well. All right, wow, Rick. This is where all the final work ends up, huh?
Yeah, this is with a showroom and accumulation of many, many years in taxidermy.
Rick Simonson's front yard sign in Coon Rapids, Minnesota says taxidermy. But what's it really mean?
This is all about is preserving memories.
Oh, absolutely. Right, right. You bet.
Stuffed critters, stuffed fish, looking lifelike and memorable.
And I shot this doll sheep several years ago in Alaska. Yeah, like this is probably my favorite mount.
Loosely translated, taxidermy means movement of skin. Practiced for centuries, taxidermy is the reason we wear shoes made of leather, animal skin. Today, taxidermy has evolved into a form of wildlife art, mounting fish, birds, or mammals and placing them in recreated habitat.
I've had fox with pheasants or grouse and so on, and kind of adds to the mount.
Yeah. What's the most difficult thing in here to replicate?
I would say a turkey.
Really?
A strutting turkey is the hardest thing to do in taxidermy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we got an example over here. This is a Miriam on the end.
Oh, yeah.
And they blow their chest up, and then the dome feathers up here stand up, so you get that dome look and that real round look to it. So yeah, they're very difficult to do. This is a Miriam out of the Black Hills that I'm working on today.
Skills required of a taxidermist are many, from artistry with paint to a very strong stomach.
Well, I started when I was 12 years old. I would trap, believe it or not, trap mice, and I would skin them out, and I'd mount pigeons, and I just had an interest for it. My dad said that at about age 7 that he never had to clean another fish. What I do is I lay a little ball of cotton behind each feather, and there's a lot of feathers in here. That's pretty good.
Over the years, he's stuffed everything from African beasts to trophy fish and more.
My favorite is probably birds. I enjoy doing birds the most. It's kind of a strange business to be in. Mounting things that, dead things that are going to go in people's houses and so on. And I can understand the aversion to that. My own wife, she doesn't want things in the house. So, it's all out here in the showroom. Okay, now we're going to put on some red. That's Bryn. She's my helper. Come here. And she keeps me, she's my companion. My best buddy, aren't you, huh? Basically, he's done.
Before you can say gobble gobble, the face of a tom turkey comes to life.
There it is. Finished.
But stuffing turkeys isn't Rick's only talent. Of late, he's been recreating world record fish, hand-carved from wood.
And it's Louis Spray's world record muskie. After I finished the muskie, I thought, well, why not do a walleye?
So goes Rick's world of taxidermy, memories made of skins, feathers, and fur, and sawed logs converted into giant fish.
It's just a passion that I just was born with. And it's still prevalent today. I just really enjoy what I do.
I still don't know how those taxidermists do it, but they do. Beautiful work. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Sharon, of course, always the star of the show. Raven, yeah, you know it.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation, Call 1-800-899-7433. For more information on these stories and more, catch us on the web at mnbound.com.